First things first, the dollar. What do we have in store? Not much to speak about since yesterday. Yesterday's candle, pretty small to be honest, just slightly bearish. Of course, a bit of a gap there to the upside, which is why it's not perfect at the low, but a bit of a gap. Price was a little bit bearish, lower time frames, momentum is just going a little bit sideways. This is the 4-hour chart. We're just looking a little bit fatigued right now. So I do think a pullback is on the cards for the dollar, especially because of where we're trading. If I expand to the weekly chart, and if we look to the left, you can see where we're trading now. Of course, we've had a very, very bearish candle last week. So there's a lot of momentum in the market. We could easily break through this. So looking to buy the dollar right now is definitely a bit more of an aggressive play. It makes sense. We're at support. Market's pretty overextended. Perhaps we do need a retracement. But again, you can see with the size of that candle, it's always difficult to try and predict the low. If we were slowly pushing to the downside, we saw a lot more candles, maybe some mixed with bullish candles, a lot more wicks, then this buy would make a lot more sense. However, now it's still pretty aggressive for a buy, but I'm looking for a retracement. I'm not necessarily looking to buy the market. If I drop back to the daily, as I spoke about yesterday, this was the area I'm looking to see if price can return to before perhaps we talk about some more selling opportunities. And again, not looking for anything crazy. If we can get there nicely, just looking for continuation back into support really and call it a day there, because the main play here with dollar is that there's just so much bearish momentum, not the fact that I'm looking for us to kind of, continue falling, although I think that will be the long-term play. But I'm not going to be looking to hold any swing opportunities into major lows like this. If I do get short, it will be for maybe a day or two. But dollar's still trading at support, still respecting it pretty well. So I do think some upsides on the cards, but I'm only focused on the shorts here from 101.5. EURUSD, pretty much the same thing as well. We've taken out some major highs on the weekly chart. This one, not so much respecting resistance. We've actually closed above it. But nevertheless, the market's still taking out major highs, very overextended. I do think a pullback is due. And if I do drop to the daily chart, we've got some nice levels to look at for a pullback into and potentially some longs. And again, just like just like the dollar, sorry. If price can get there, I'm not looking for necessarily a big move because the market's already made a big move. It's not like we're starting at the bottom of a trend here. The market's already made its move. We've completely engulfed this humongous bearish move, and we're trading well above the highs there. So the market is pretty stretched. It's seen a lot of upside. Therefore, I'm not looking for anything crazy with the buys. If we can see a nice healthy pullback into a zone, there's a good chance we do respect it and see a bounce. But I'm not looking to shoot for the stars because we've already seen a pretty big move. And if I can get it back to highs, I'll be pretty happy with that trade there. So again, dollar just looking for a pullback. You see in the 4-hour chart, looking very fatigued right now. Price is just going sideways. So in fairness, it's a bit 50-50 which way we break out. We could easily break to the upside. We could easily break to the downside. I'm not really too interested in terms of trying to guess which way. I've got a zone here which looks good for a long. If price can break to the downside, great. Hopefully we can talk about some longs there. And maybe some shorts on the breakout. Either looking to short on the breakout or waiting for a retest. That could be a bit more of an intraday sell opportunity, taking advantage of some shorts there. So that could be something to look out for. But in terms of a swing buy, especially on the hourly or 4-hour chart, this is the zone that I'm looking to see if we can work with. So that's still the plan with Euro. It hasn't changed since the beginning of the week. Pound USD has been pretty bullish. I was hoping for a bit more of a pullback. It still could happen, of course. But pound has just been flying, to be honest. Looks like 1.34 is where we're headed towards. We've got major resistance here, 1.33725. It looks like that could be where price is looking to go and test next. We had a very bullish close on the week last week. So again, we had that wick to the upside. Price tried to sell off but failed, and essentially just broke out of this consolidation with a strong bullish candle. So my expectation this week was more upside. However, I was waiting for price to push down first so I can look for some entries on the retest of the zone. Didn't get that, unfortunately. The market just still flying. Like I said, we still could pull back, so I'm not writing off pound USD at all. We've created new highs past this point, so it kind of confirms to us that. Didn't mean to do that. It kind of confirms to us that this, of course, was our previous high low in the market. So I am still looking for a correction because I do think the market is pretty overextended right now. So I do expect to see some type of pullback. It may not be as big as this, but I would hope it to be, because that's kind of where I'm looking to buy from. And then targets, I'm looking at 1.33725, basically 1.34. But there's more upside to be had with pounds. I'm looking to long it, just waiting for a correction. I like the opportunity a lot more now. So yeah, just waiting patiently for the trade. Dollar CAD, bearish bias with this one as well. Again, we're still kind of trading around that massive level of support on the weekly time frame. Prior resistance and support. I know we just about closed below, but the market isn't perfect. If this is really gonna signal to me a breakout, I want to see a much bigger close than that for me to be like, okay, it's a big breakout. This level's not holding. I'm expecting more downside. If this week's candle was to push back up, I wouldn't be too surprised. So more or less, dollar CAD still at support. Again, I'm looking to short this one, but I need a much bigger pullback. I'm looking primarily at, let me just move this out of the way. I'm looking primarily at this zone here. Lovely support with return resistance. Similar trade I did to euro, similar trade I did to pound as well. Just looking for a pullback into price support on the 4-hour stroke daily time frame. And if we can see sufficient retest of these areas, I do think we can catch nice sells. Again, not looking for anything too crazy, because we know that we do have that massive dollar CAD support just below us. So if we can catch a nice push, that'll probably be a decent trade just to call it a day. There's chances we do find support and price does come back up against us, because it's respecting that zone on the weekly chart. So being cautious of that. And if you get a much bigger pullback, we do have 1.416 up there as well. That will be a possibility. But yeah, for now, dollar CAD still seeing a lot of momentum. USD still pretty bearish. I'm still pretty bearish on USD itself. So I'm only looking to short the dollar against pretty much every currency. Aussie dollar, I'm looking to long this one. So again, short the dollar. We're seeing a lot more momentum this, well, not really actually. The price is still pushing up, but we had a lot of momentum coming into the weekend. That looks like it's kind of spilling over a little bit. I do think price is likely to break through resistance here and continue higher. The reason for that is because I'm looking at this being a bit of a bottom for Aussie dollar. Not necessarily that I'm expecting price to completely reverse. It may just be an upside for 3-4 weeks before we do continue. That could be the case. I do think we do have a bit of a push to the upside in us. If I do get the fib from the high to the swing low, I'm looking at least for a push into the 50, but I do think we can get to the 0.618 of a healthy pullback. If the market is going to continue, I feel like we're either going to test the 50 or test the 0.618, even test the 0.786 before we continue. So those are kind of targets I'm looking to work with. In terms of a decent trade though, I have been waiting for a bit of a pullback for Aussie dollar. So I mentioned this area here yesterday, and I also mentioned this area here yesterday, but as you can see, the market looks to be just flying to the upside right now. Again, difficult to get into a long with the market just peeling away like this. Unless, of course, you're on the lower time frames, then there will be some smaller pullbacks you can look to take advantage of. But from a 4-hour perspective, we've seen a really big move to the downside, very big recovery of that. So giving us that really big V-shaped pattern. So now I'm looking at the correction of that and then expecting us to continue, which would look like a big inverse head and shoulder pattern. Left shoulder, head, of course your right shoulder. That's your neckline, then you're expecting price to break higher. So I think there's a really nice opportunity on our hands here with Aussie dollar. Just about a correction, and pretty much that's the same idea with pretty much every USD pair right now. Euro USD correction, pound USD correction, Aussie dollar, dollar CAD, and as the USD as well. Just waiting for a correction for a buy. This one's completely broken to the upside. The week has started very bullish, no bottom wick pretty much at all here, or less, a very, very small one. But we pretty much just started bullish on the week and continued flying. It was a very strong close the week prior, so I'm expecting more upside anyway. And same situation as the Aussie dollar, drawing a fib from the high to the low, looking for us to return into the 0.5, 0.618. Looks like we're just about to hit the 0.5. Next level would be 0.618, so there's still a bit of distance there. It would be great to see price go and test that area. I do want to see a bit of a pullback first for USD USD. I did speak about this level here, but looks like we've kind of left that in the dust right now. So I'm more so concerned about this area at 0.58183. We can just call that 0.5581. But if we can get a pullback into that area, I'll be happy to look to long as well. Again, massive V-shape correction here, strong impulse down, consolidation, massive recovery. If we can get a correction into that zone, that probably will give us a nice bounce. If we correct slightly deeper, we've got that zone just below us there as well. So I like that as an opportunity too. But in terms of bias, still liking more upside there for USD USD, just waiting for a pullback. In terms of gold, so gold looking very bullish. Again, I spoke about some short-term sell opportunities, but also a buy from this zone here. Unfortunately, haven't got there yet. Again, we're going to write that off. We still potentially could see a pullback into that zone. It is still definitely on the cards. I did talk about some shorts yesterday. Wasn't a fan of that hourly close. It did still pay off though. We still did see a price come back, retest that zone and give us a nice sell. Yeah, I wasn't a fan of that close there. Pull back a little bit too much for my liking. But as overall, gold is still bullish. We formed a low here. Price is still pushing up. I think from an intraday perspective, there's a nice zone here just below us, which looks like price hasn't quite come back for a retest yet. So if we were to have one more push down, that might provide a nice trade this afternoon or tomorrow, depends on when we get there. And of course, targets back at the high. But you probably could take that further, to be honest. Knowing gold, we probably will break those highs. But I still like the retest of this zone if we were to get back there. Silver is just a bit awkward, to be honest. Silver. So yeah, silver is just a bit awkward. I'm pretty bullish on silver. I'm still looking to buy it, but we're just coming back into resistance, and we still have that massive sell. We're coming back into some areas of supply there. So it's just a bit awkward for silver right now. How can I buy a market that's about to come back into an area like such? It doesn't really make too much sense. This is more bearish territory. So I need price to start either forming some higher lows or get back above this level here. Potentially that could end up being a nice buy, but even that I have to be a bit cautious of as well. So silver, I do have a bullish bias, but I think if anything, there actually might be some short-term sell opportunities to eye up. Let's see how price reacts with this zone. If we get there, it's still looking pretty corrective. It might be a nice sell for potentially a day or two. I'm not looking for a swing back to the low here. I think that's a bit optimistic, but we might see a nice short, like I said, a day or two. Maybe price finds support, then pushes back up again. That could be worthwhile though.